Headed for a high of -11. Rob, a little warmer in your bus we have parked right outside the studio?
Yeah, it's nice and warm in there. We're a little bit spoiled sometimes in that bus, yeah.
Nice. It's looking good. It's looking good.
It's a little dirty, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how tour buses go.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You hit the road, you're going to get dirty. So, you're home.
Yeah.
It's good to have you home.
It's cool to be back in this area, that's for sure. We've been touring a lot. We've been, last year we did 184 shows. This year we're in the midst of about 160 shows right now, and we've been doing shows all over the place. Like, we had a few songs four songs in the top 10 on radio, and we were touring, doing a lot of big stuff. And it was about 3 years ago I got an opportunity to do a tour through the prisons, youth detention centers, native reserves, and schools, kind of Johnny Cash style.
Yeah.
Sharing my story, and so we started doing that. And it was kind of getting a little disappointing, though, at times, because you're out doing all this good work everywhere else. We got songs about addictions, about suicide, and all this stuff. And then you'd come home reading the paper that there's struggles happening right here in our hometown, and we weren't doing too much here. You're never as big a star in your hometown. So this year we kind of just made it a vow. We wanted to do shows in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and stuff like that. So today we're in southern Manitoba, which is where I grew up.
Fantastic. You are going to be at a couple of schools while you're here.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on.
Well, we did a few Winnipeg schools already this week. We did a show in Carman 2 days ago. Today we're in Kleefeld, Manitoba.
Your home stomping ground.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. It's awesome. And there, I think some other schools, I think even Bothwell is coming to watch the show, like the school's being brought over. And then tomorrow we're going to Grunthal or Green Valley.
Yeah.
So I think I played some hockey in Grunthal a little bit. So
it's
kind of funky to be here. It's awesome.
Some of the guys might remember you, eh?
Yeah,
I'm up against the boards.
I've may have fought a few of them. I don't know. We'll find out.
Hey, here's Rob's new single. It's called Shadows. And Rob, as soon as we listen to this song, when we're done, I want you to tell me where this song came from. Powerful story.
Sounds good.
This is Shadows by Robb Nash on Mix. And Robb Nash performing at a couple of the schools in the Hanover School Division, Kleefeld School and Green Valley School in Grunthal. But now this song that we just listened to, Shadows.
Yeah.
Powerful song. Tell me the history of this song.
Well, it's pretty interesting. We spend 3 days a month in youth prisons, youth detention centers, and we'll teach kids drums and guitar, and we'll write. And there's no lack of stories with those students. Like sometimes you read in the paper somebody's been locked away for a murder. Then you go sit with that kid in prison, and you find out what they went through to get there, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, yeah, I might have ended up here myself, And you start listening to the hurt in their lives, and we love writing with them. And we performed, and you can actually see the video to this song if you go to our website, robnash.ca. And there was this, we did a show at a youth lockdown center in Calgary, and we performed a show for 5 young girls that were there. Each one of them had their own talents and stuff. We set up all our stuff, did the show. And the one girl, we started working with her. We spent 2 days a month there last year. We recorded a song with her right there in the prison. And she was just so blown away because we set up a portable studio in the prison. Like, it was just a really cool thing to see. And then we just taught her, we're all going to go through some tough stuff. You've got the strength inside to get through it. Sometimes your parents disappoint you. We'll turn to drugs, cutting. We do all those things, but that never fixes the problem. The strength you need to get through your tragedy is in yourself. And she found that. And I said, your story could help so many people. And the beautiful thing is, on May 9th, she turned 18 years old, and she was released from this lockdown facility. And she asked if she could stay so she could mentor the younger girls there.
Wow.
And I thought, that's exactly what we're trying to teach. We're not trying to change the world as a band. We're trying to create world changers. And because of that, we started bringing her on tour with us sometimes. We had a show at the Calgary Saddle Dome a couple months ago, 22,000 people, and we had her on stage with us performing. And then she had never been on a plane before. We flew her to Winnipeg, and we had her on stage with us at the MTS Center in Winnipeg playing 18,000 people. Literally, and you can see the video of this on our website, and it's with the song Shadows. And I wrote this song just about her. Nobody had ever told her she could be a light. She felt whenever she walked into a room, she just cast a shadow. Everywhere she went, she just made every room darker. Nobody told her she could brighten a room.
Wow.
And so the song's called Shadows for that reason. But if you watch the video, you see the progress. Well, you'll see her actually showing me the train tracks where the police found her, laying down on train tracks, thinking she had no purpose. She wanted to die. They pulled her off those train tracks. You'll see her in the prison where we played for her. You'll see us recording with her, and then you'll see us her on stage with us in front of tens of thousands of people sharing her story. And that's the thing, is we're all going to have a tough day one day.
Yep.
Get through it, and your story could help somebody.
And that's on robnash.com?
.ca. We'll go
robnash.ca. Check it out. Here with Robb Nash. Rob went to go see you at We Day.
Right.
What a huge, huge thing in the MTS Center. And not just the MTS Center, you toured with them.
Yeah, it's a pretty fantastic thing. They have tons of speakers, tons of performers and stuff. We the week before we had been in Calgary doing We Day as well. That was Headley was there, and the Lights and Mariana's Trench, but it's kind of funny how it came full circle because we used to play a lot of shows with bands like Headley, and now here we are. We ripped up our record deal to go tour through prisons, and now we meet up with them again on stage, which was a pretty interesting thing. But We Day was a cool thing because you get to share your stories, and that's what we do through our music. We share the stories and tell why we sing the songs that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here with Robb Nash. We shared one of his songs earlier and told some stories about We Day and just the difference that you make in the music that you do. But it started quite a while back when you had a pretty horrific accident.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was 17 years old. Buddy got his driver's license. We're all excited, and we went for a joyride on some really dangerous roads. Lost control, going full speed. Got hit by a semi-truck going full speed. And, our car was crushed, and I was actually found with no pulse, not breathing. It's kind of crazy. We spoke at a school in that area a little while ago. One of the students went home and said, "Hey, Dad, guess what? Robb Nash came to our school. He got hit by a semi and lost his skull," blah, right? And this dad freaked out because the dad was the first responder. So I just did lunch with this guy, and it was weird talking to him because it's years later, and he still thought I was dead. He says, "I remember you had no pulse, you weren't breathing." He said, "I was holding your head waiting for the ambulance." He said, "I could look right in and see your brain." And so they called my parents. Parents never want to get a phone call like that, and obviously my pulse came back. I was in a coma for a while. Actually, I found out the doctors never thought I'd wake up from my coma, so they didn't even do the surgery. They actually let some students do it. Like,
No,
here, you
come
can
on.
practice on this guy. He's not waking up.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way.
So if you were to feel my head, it should be nice and smooth, but they did a pretty crappy job, and there's a piece of bone and metal sticking out. It's pretty nasty sometimes.
So that's why you keep the hair long, so you can cover it all
Well,
up.
some
but-
people say, "So is that your real hair if your head's metal?" It's like, yes, they stapled the skin back on, so my hair did grow back. But if I ever go bald, I'm going to be like a seriously ugly dude.
Wow.
But yeah, I came out of that. Honestly, some people think we just did a different radio interview, and the guy goes, "Well, it's kind of good that you got hit by the semi, hey, Rob?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Yeah, look what you've done with it." I said, "The semi didn't make me do this." He goes, "But if you could go back in time, you'd do it all over again, wouldn't you?" No, I wouldn't.
Nobody
It didn't
purposely
make
gets
me a
hit
better
by a semi.
person. Some people think tragedy makes you better. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
There's thousands of people that go through a tragedy. They're not better off automatically on the other side. In fact, for a long time, I was just bitter about what happened to me. This happened to me in grade 12. I was playing every sport I could imagine, and all of a sudden I'm 17 and my mom has to bathe me again. I wasn't happy about that. Things don't happen for a reason. Things happen with potential.
Yeah,
That
I like
accident had the potential to leave me bitter the rest of my life, or had the potential to become a part of my story. And so I started sharing that through music. I thought, what better way? I never wanted to be a musician. My worst mark in school was music. But I thought that would be a good way to tell a story, so that's what we do. And
I love the way you put that because, we are all in circumstances, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
We're all in whatever circumstance we're in. The difference is what we do with it.
Exactly.
From there.
Totally. And I'll tell you what, everyone listening to the radio right now, everyone knows what they do. But when you ask them, why do you do it, very few people have a good answer. And that's a sad thing. And what we teach in schools, don't just figure out what you want to be, what you want to do. Start with why. Like for me, I wanted to tell a story so that people wouldn't have to get hit by a semi like I did before they made every day count. That was my why. How could I do that? Music's a good way, but when you start with why first, it's like my buddy, he's picked me up from the airport the other day, and he's like, "Hey, Rob, so how was your flight?" And I was like, "Good. I had this great talk with this guy. He was a fan." He goes, "You're so lucky." He goes, when I talk to people, they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm an accountant." And the conversation's over. And I said, because nobody cares about what you do, and they don't care about what I do. What do? I hit metal strings with a plastic stick. Who cares? People care about why you do it. My friend, he's a super generous guy. I said, next time they ask you, what do you do? Say, well, I'm really passionate about homeless people. So in my city, I volunteer for the soup kitchen, and I donate this much money, because he does. But my gifting, I'm really good with numbers. So I work as an accountant to raise money to help support all these homeless people on the streets. Do you hear how different that is?
That's a better story.
When you start with why instead of just what do you do,
We're talking with Robb Nash. Rob, the big, gorgeous tour bus out there. People always think life on the road, glamorous. You ride around in a tour bus all day. Tell us what it's really like.
Oh, it's actually pretty crazy. And I got to tell you the story of that tour bus. Like, we don't charge $1 for what we do. And there was a couple we had never met before. They saw our last show of the year last year, and they said, we'd love to help you keep doing what you do. We're going to make a donation. We're like, great, because we're $180,000 in the hole. And they went home. They didn't talk all night like a good married couple, you know. And in the morning, she says, I don't think we're supposed to give them any money. He said, me neither. She said, I think we're supposed to buy them a tour bus. He said, me too. And they flew our crew to Nashville, Tennessee. You don't buy those tour buses. You just rent them for your tour. Like, if you go on tour for 6 months, you lease it for 6 months from that company. The artist that had that before us, Adele had it for 6 months before we did. Before that, it was Chris Brown's. Like it's a beautiful bus. There's 12 flat screen TVs in there, and they bought it for us and said, here, don't stop what you're doing. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Listen, if you would like to have Robb Nash come and perform at your school, Rob, how can they get a hold of you?
Go to robnash.ca. We don't charge $1 for what we do, and that's how you can get a hold of us and get a show.